All right, all right, all right. Welcome back, welcome back. This is the first Van in a Van video on Rumble. For those who don't know about the Fan in a Van, obviously it's a brutally blunt, honest sports podcast, right? For those who haven't listened, I suggest you go check it out. It's on every podcasting streaming app you can think of, from Spotify to Good Pods to Apple to so many more. Those who want to know what I discuss, it's really fucking simple. Okay, I discuss everything from the NFL to the NBA to the NHL, Major League Baseball, different debates, topics, blah, 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 yada, 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 right? So, with that being said, let's just jump right into this thing. Obviously, a lot's been going on in the sports world. I haven't done a sports video in so long because I used to do videos on YouTube and, you know, a lot of shit's changed with that. So, we got to talk about the debacle that's obviously the New York Yankees. But before we even get into that, the news that broke today is obviously the biggest one in baseball this year, which is the whole Wander Franco situation, apparently dating a 14-year-old, right? If this is true, you are one big piece of fucking pedophile shit who should be sent right to jail. That's one. You should have your shit cut off. And you should be fucking gang raped, okay? Usually I don't want to wish harm on anybody, but when it comes to fucking pedophiles, gloves are off on that one. But we could discuss that at a later point. Let's get into the state of the Yankees. For those, obviously, who follow my buddy Brent over at 1420 Sports, we did a Yankee Week in review yesterday. And we weren't too kind on the Yankees. It's a lot more of the same today. I mean, how do you, with Garrett Cole on the mound, your ace, right, who's been probably the only positive outlook this whole year other than Glaber at the plate minus his base running blunders and blah, 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 right? How do you blow a 4-run lead in the bottom of the ninth to the Miami Marlins is certifiably insane. Aaron Boone has no clue what he's doing. He can't manage. He doesn't manage the bullpen right. He doesn't know when to pull a pitcher, when not to pull a pitcher. And we've seen this throughout the whole year. Now, part of the problem is that it's bad roster construction because of Cashman and Hal. Hal's afraid to spend money. Meanwhile, the Yankees, again, make money hand over fist, do all their endorsement deals, ads with Audi, ads with this one, their deal with the Cowboys and Aramark Foods and all this other nonsense, right? And the thing is that Hal Steinbrenner's afraid of this luxury tax that on the other side of New York City, in Queens, Uncle Steve isn't afraid to go over that at all. Now, obviously, they took a big swing. They missed this year. It is what it is. And the sad part is that you kind of expect that from the Mets. You don't expect what the Yankees are going through to really ever happen because this is a historic franchise. We've been accustomed to winning. You know, we've been spoiled by it for, decades, centuries, whatever. You do the math. That's how long we've been spoiled for, right? Now, obviously, every week we hear this is a championship caliber team. They're in it to win it. But when you have guys like Donaldson on the team and you have no leadership at all, let's just call this what it is. There's no leadership. The days of CC making people face accountability, Brett Gardner making people face accountability, it's not there anymore. When you're getting beat by like the friggin' Rockies and Rizzo, Volpe, and Judge are all at the top of the dugout laughing and chewing gum and having little fucking joke sessions, as a diehard Yankee fan, that annoys the ever-living shit out of you. I mean, am I giving up on this team? No, because I'm a diehard like every other real Yankee fan is. The problem is, where do they go from here? Obviously, you got to correct the situation. Now, obviously, if Cashman stays, Boone's going nowhere. But you could see the other option where Boone goes, Cashman stays, because they'll just find another yes guy. Now, all the things I've seen throughout Twitter as far as who they want to see as the GM, I forget who his name is. He tweeted out a pretty good one where it was Jeter for GM, Andy Pettit is the pitching coach, who's now their part-time is like a pitching coach type guy. Bring Donnie Baseball back as the hitting coach and either make Jorge Posada or Tino Martinez the manager. That one, again, neither of the two have ever managed. I would bring in Tino and Jorge maybe as the hitting coach. I'd bring in Donnie Baseball as the manager since he's got managerial experience from the Marlins to the Dodgers, even now as a bench coach up in Toronto. I wouldn't bring those two in as the manager because you'd just be making the same mistake again from 5+ years ago when they brought in Boone, who's never managed, went from playing baseball to the ESPN broadcast team, and then you give him one of the most prolific managing positions in all of baseball on one of the most historic franchises. You don't want to do that. You got to bring somebody in here who's going to not necessarily be a yes guy, but he's going to be the guy that I don't say yes to you, you say yes to me. And for those that are going to watch this and you're going to sit there and say, what does that even mean? Boone's a yes guy where if Cashman says start Donaldson tonight at third base, even though, let's say, IKF has a better batting average, is in a hitting streak and is producing, but no, Cashman made this horrendous deal to get Donaldson here. I want to see Donaldson, and Boone will go, yes. You bring in a guy who goes, the player card is mine. Kind of like to the situation, for those who've seen the movie Moneyball when, Billy Beane wanted Hatteberg playing first and not Carlos Pena, and Art Howe is like, you can construct the team however you want. That's fine. But the lineup card is mine. And that's the type of manager I think the Yankees desperately need. I don't need a guy who's going to go out there every other fifth game and rant and rave with the umpires, who's going to argue with the umpires about balls and strikes. Listen, we know the umpiring in this league sucks. I've seen it. We've seen it today. The Phillies are playing whoever, and my buddy at Brutally Honest Sports Podcast, Aaron, sent me the video of it with one of the worst strike three calls he possibly could have ever seen. Okay. It's a Major League Baseball problem, and it's been for years now. We all know it. But do I need to see Aaron Boone out there every other night doing these antics? What, so John Boy Media and Talking Yanks can have their little clickbaits and sound bites and then make their stupid little T-shirts and make money off of that? I mean, if that's the type of manager you want, you rather that over playoff appearances and championships, well, then Aaron Boone's your fucking guy. But if you're a real Yankee fan and a knowledgeable one, you want a manager who wants to win, that's going to hold players accountable. And I don't think Aaron Boone does any of that. It's the old saying, the inmates run the asylum. And that's what's going on in the Yankee universe, is the inmates run the asylum. It's like, you're not going to tell me, I'm going to tell you. That's what it is. You got to get out from under some of these contracts. And there was one I've seen where somebody posted, listen, you got to trade Stanton. You got to eat 3/4 of this deal. Even if you don't get everything you're looking for in return, you got to get rid of this guy. Like Brent said yesterday, this guy runs like he's the friggin' Tin Man and needs his fucking legs greased with oil once in a while. I mean, honestly, he's not lying. Garrett Cole's got an opt-out at the end of the 2024 season. I said it yesterday. If this guy opts out, who can blame him? If we're in the same predicament this time next year, and I'm having the same discussion this time next year, are you blaming this guy? Are you blaming him for opting out on the rest of his deal? There's a reason why some of these guys, when they sign these long-term deals, they have opt-outs. It protects them. It's like, hey, you know what? I came here to win. We're not doing that. So, bye-bye. There's no loyalty in sports anymore. Sports isn't a sport. Sports is a business. And it's about me, me, me. It's not about the team. It's about the most I can get. Where can I get it? It doesn't matter who pays me as long as somebody's fucking paying me. That's really what it comes down to. And as far as the Yankees go, you're not making the playoffs, right? You're not even touching a wild card this year. And for Jeff Nelson on last Sunday's broadcast to say, well, if the Yankees go on this streak and, they grab the last wild card, they could beat either the Twins or the Guardians, in the wild card round. They can with this lineup. With the fact that one day they can hit, the next day they can't, then today they can hit and score runs, but then the bullpen blows the game. And listen, I don't expect perfection with any of the teams that I root for. Don't get me wrong. People sit there and they criticize my opinion, right? But my opinion is strictly that. It's my opinion. It's what I think. It's what I feel. It's how I view things, okay? And everyone's entitled to that. And this is why we discuss sports, because everybody's got a different opinion. Everybody's got a different viewpoint. But if you really think if the Yankees somehow went on a streak and then had to play the Twins or the Guardians, you really think that beating them in the wild card round, only then to go play, say, Houston or the Texas Rangers in the following round and then get swept? I'd rather them just mail it in, call up the kids now, call up Everson Pereira, call up Austin Wells, Esteban Florial, call up the other kid that's pitching pretty good down there right now. Call up these guys. Let's showcase them because we're going to have to see them at some point. So what better time than now? Call him up, shut down Aaron Judge, let him get the surgery on his toe, even though he may look fine, but he's playing in pain, okay? Even though he's still smashing 464-foot home runs, the guy's still playing in pain. He can't play the field. At least I don't think he's playing the field. I know the other day he was DHing, so, obviously that kind of hurts you because now you're clogging up a DH spot where if Judge can't play the field, you're taking a decent bat out of the lineup because now you have to plug Stanton in because Stanton is a friggin' insurance liability in the outfield. And we all know it. We all know it. Every time a ball's hit to Stanton, I feel like a pregnant woman that's on the verge of having contractions. It's like, come on. I don't need none of that. And people have asked me, how would I fix the Yankees? If one owner in New York isn't afraid to open the checkbook, then why shouldn't Hal Steinbrenner be afraid to open a checkbook? This Yankee team isn't ran by Cashman. It's not ran by the Steinbrenners. It's who it's really run by? These nerds that sit in a basement that look at numbers. All these stupid analytics from WAR to, whatever it is, WHIP. Listen, I don't care what any of them mean, and I don't give a shit about any of them. You know what I care about? Wins and losses. That's what I care about. I don't care if Judge hits 65 home runs in a year or if he hits 35 home runs in a year, as long as they all produce and it produces a win. That's all that matters. You really think people care if Stanton all of a sudden resurrects himself like he's Jesus Christ himself and then hits 80 home runs, but we're sitting in the cellar again? Nobody's going to care about that. Yeah, the real Yankee fan doesn't care about that. Yeah, you know what? It's fun to see. Okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. He's going to break history, whatever it is, and he's going to be one of the cleanest guys to do it. Okay, just hypothetically saying if that happened. We know it's not going to happen with the way Stanton hits, and he's almost like afraid to be in the batter's box. I don't know why. I understand he took a fastball to the face a few years back, but you know what? Time to face that fear and get back in the box and become that Giancarlo Stanton you were when you were Mike Stanton in friggin' Miami. Okay, before they became the Miami Marlins, when they were the Florida Marlins. And they still sucked then. Okay? That's what you have to... That's what this Yankee team has to find a way to become what they once were without the Jeters, without the CCs, without the Bernie Williams, the Paul O'Neills, the Scott Brosiuses of the world. They got to become this team that's not like them, not like mirroring them, but that same path where it's about winning, where people are held accountable, where, when a guy's having an off day, your captain is supposed to be helping you. And I don't think Judge is really the voice of that locker room because you have all these other egos in there that are probably over-talking Judge. And Judge is one of the most intimidating guys in the locker room and should have the loudest voice, but yet he has the quietest voice. Was he the right choice for captain? I really don't know, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because anybody in that locker room right now should, in essence, speak up and say, I'm done with this shit. I'm done with the mediocrity. Watching the Yankees is like watching the beginning of both major league movies where they suck, and you got the friggin' field guys sitting there in Japanese, Korean, whatever, and, this team's shitty again. And then all of a sudden they go on this tear. I don't know, maybe they need like a cardboard cutout of Hal Steinbrenner, and every time they win, they just rip off an article of clothing until they make the playoffs. I don't know what, in essence, you're going to do here. Because if you're going to keep Cashman and Boone next year, how are they going to fix this roster? How are they going to do it? I mean, people complain about Anthony Volpe, but the kid's acclimated. I mean, yeah, he's hitting 200, but when he's at the plate like today, he produces. And yeah, there's days he doesn't produce. There's days he makes a fielding error, but that all comes with it. And people sitting there and you expect them to be Derek Jeter right out of the gate. But even Derek Jeter wasn't Derek Jeter out of the gate. Bernie Williams wasn't Bernie Williams out of the gate. Andy Pettitte wasn't Andy Pettitte out of the gate, and neither was Jorge Posada. It took time for them to acclimate, and when they did, the Yankees were the most feared team. And I've been on record on saying when George died, the evil empire died because nobody's afraid of the Yankees anymore. The Yankees have become the joke of Major League Baseball and the punchline of the joke. So nobody's afraid of them, not even the Baltimore Orioles. The fact that we are in August and we're discussing how the Orioles, who spend $200 million less, are better than a team that spends over $300 million in payroll, that they're better than that, is atrocious. It's just fucking disgusting. And I don't get how Hal, Cashman, Boone, Judge, Stanton, Rizzo, Glaber, how all these guys sit there and accept it. Because if I was on this Yankee team, I wouldn't accept it. And if it's the same position this time in 2024, if you don't think that Cole already has in his mind, listen, the ship's sinking and I'm getting off, it's also watching the Yankees play is like watching the Titanic. Okay? It's like at least the Titanic tried to get away from the iceberg. Cashman and Hal are like, let's just crash into it. And Cole's going to jump off well before that happens. Because who can blame him? I'm not going to blame a guy who wants to go after one last big bag of money. And if he goes back to Houston, that's probably where he's going to wind up again anyway. He's either going to wind up in Houston or in LA. And the Yankees only got themselves to blame. Don't blame the fan base for if Cole opts out, because that's not what's going to happen. It's not going to be the fan base's fault. It's going to be the Yankee ownership's fault for not building the right roster. I mean, you passed up on guys like Bryce Harper, and then Bryce Harper comes out and says, yeah, well, my agent reached out to the Yankees, and they passed up on me. And look at what Bryce Harper is doing in Philly at 80%. Okay, because if you think he's still fully healed from his UCL surgery, he's not. But he's still fucking producing. I get everybody loves Anthony Rizzo. I love Anthony Rizzo. Okay, but Bryce Harper, if he came to the Yankees, wasn't coming in as a first baseman. Now he would have been a logical first baseman now with Rizzo out, because his medical staff can't diagnose a head cold from a back spasm, and how you don't realize that Rizzo's been playing with post-concussion syndrome since friggin' May 29th, even though the injury occurred on May 28th, but let's just skip it a day to where you would know that he has it. The fact that Rizzo, before the injury, was batting over 300, and then those next few weeks, it dwindled down to like what gas prices used to be in the 90s at like $1.40. Okay, that's what his batting average was, 140. No production. You didn't think anything was wrong there? Boone didn't think anything was wrong there? The medical staff, the hitting coach, Cashman, none of these guys thought, hey, let's backtrack here and see when this became a problem, and let's see. Maybe Rizzo has something here that maybe he doesn't even know he has, and which he's probably told them, listen, I go to bed, I wake up in the morning like I got hit by a Mack truck, like I went out drinking all night, and you wouldn't think to diagnose it then? When people say who's to blame for the Yankee failure this year, it's all around. It's from the top all the way down to even the friggin' bat boy. It is. I don't get how people can sit here and defend not just Yankee baseball, but New York baseball in general, because the Mets don't escape this either. Okay, for the fact that they went out, they got Scherzer, and they paid him what a 27 to 29-year-old pitcher should have gotten. And the same thing with Verlander. The difference is in the situation when it came to the trade deadline is that Billy Epler was smart, cut the ties that bind. Yeah, he had to ship money off with them, got some prospects back in return. Whereas Cashman said, you know what? I'm going to fuck this up even more. I'm going to trade this guy off, and I'm just going to get a middle reliever. Listen, I knew the Yankees weren't going to be buyers at the deadline, but you could have cut ties with some of these contracts and sent the money off for the rest of this year, and then that team's on the hook for the rest of it. You could have shipped Stanton off anywhere and have eaten 3/4 of the deal, and then they're on the hook for the rest of it. You could have did that and gotten prospects in return. But Cashman didn't do that. And we don't know why. Maybe it's because the nerds in the basement who never gotten laid, who all they do is just calculate all day. Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Okay? They're sitting there going, oh no, Stanton's going to be projected to do this from this date to this date. What? Not be able to score from first base on a triple when he should be able to? And it's not a triple, it becomes a double because the Tin Man can't run? Because he's afraid to run? Because he's afraid he might stub his toe at home plate? I don't know what to tell you when it comes to Yankees baseball anymore. I don't. And then you've seen it today. You've seen celebrities that are fans of the Yankees, like friggin' like famous actor Nick Totoro comes out. He says he's sick and tired of watching his fucking team. He goes, he's not watching it the rest of the year. And then people are going to question the Yankee fandom of said fans, whether you're a celebrity or a regular guy like me, where it's like, I'll still watch, I'll still listen on the radio because you never know. But do I have high hopes and aspirations that this team's going to go on a tear and hop, skip, and jump 4 or 5 other teams to make the wild card and then go on this flash in the pan streak and get to the World Series? No, that's not going to happen. Be realistic. It's not going to happen. You know, you have Yankee fans that are calling for Boone's head now. What's the point? It's not going to change anything. It's too late. Firing Cashman now makes no sense. It's too late. The damage is done. It's like anything else. It's like trying to fix a marriage that's just unrepairable. At this point, the marriage with the Yankees and the fan base right now is unrepairable till the right things are done. And one of the right things is, obviously, you know, the players aren't going to take the hit. The coach is the easiest person to get rid of because they're pretty much always the bulletproof vest. They're going to take the shot that's fired by upper management when they terminate them instead of the players. And the players don't really care. If you think they're going to lose sleep over the fact that Boone got fired at the end of the year, you think Judge is going to lose sleep at night while he's making $360 million over 9 years when he could have went to San Francisco and got over $400 million? And listen, I commend the guy for wanting to stay here, preserve his legacy. He took less money. Nobody else would ever do that. Judge decided to do it, and then look what happens. He's stuck in mediocrity now. For how long? We don't know. You know, at least the Mets came out and said, listen, we took the swing. We missed. We're not going to be that good next year. We're just going to try to replenish the farm. And in 2025, we're going to come in swinging, and we're going to open up the checkbook, and the floodgates are going to be open. Whereas Cashman, it's like, well, you know, we could have got this guy, but, you know, financially, it wasn't feasible. And listen, this Yankee fan's sick of hearing the fucking smoke and mirror show, okay? Listening to Brian Cashman talk and trying to get us to believe certain things is like a parent still trying to get a young kid to believe that there's a Santa Claus, that there's a tooth fairy, and if there's little kids that are watching this, listen, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but they don't exist. If you really believe that some fat fuck in a jolly red suit can fly around the world in one night and fit down a chimney and then figure out how to get in a house without a chimney, if you still believe that, then you believe the Yankees are World Series contenders this year. It is what it is. Okay? You know, I've been criticized for the fact that, you know, I am a Yankee fan, and how can I bash this team? You know, you should look at everything positive. There's nothing positive to look at on this Yankee team. Other than Garrett Cole, there's nothing. There's nothing positive about this team. The fact that in the past 9 starts at Garrett Cole, they've lost. And Garrett Cole has an under 3 ERA in those games at like a 2.78. and for a guy who's probably going to win the Cy Young Award, hopefully, and his first one, and duly deserves it. But you mean to tell me that there's any positivity with this Yankee team this year? If you're a Met fan, is there any positivity with the Mets? There isn't. The fact that these teams that spend less than both those franchises are winning. The fact that the Texas Rangers went all in and are in a first place battle with the Astros is something I wouldn't have seen coming. I figured Houston would have freaking ran away with that division, but Texas has been right there lockstep all year with them, even with losing DeGrom. And adding Scherzer only puts them that much further to where they want to be. And that's a World Series contender. And I said it yesterday. You know, Brent asked me, who do I see winning the World Series? And I'm going with the long shot. I'm going with Texas. Call me crazy, but I think they got enough in them to get past the Astros and get to the World Series. Now, whether whoever they got to play from the NL, whether it's the Braves or the Dodgers, that remains to be seen. But I think Texas has got enough to win it all. And, when you look at the Dodgers, and I said it yesterday, they are the West Coast New York Yankees. They are what the Yankees used to be. They're what the Yankees used to aspire to be. Because the Dodgers, they're not afraid to spend. We've seen it. They went out, they got Freddie Freeman. They signed Mookie Betts long term. They're willing to give Kershaw more money, even though he's constantly hurt. And the Yankees are afraid to do any of this. And I do know why. And there are fans that are going to disagree. If you do, that's fine. But here will be my statement to that. You don't know what you're talking about. Because when George died, all of this died. This will to win died when George Steinbrenner died. And Hal just doesn't know how to run this team. He's more worried about revenue as far as, endorsements with car dealerships and whatever it is than he is about the product on the field. And then he comes out and he's, I'm confused to why the fan base is so mad. You're confused. Which tells me you don't watch this fucking product. You don't watch it. There comes a point where you just have to listen to the voice of the fan base, and people can sit there and say, the fan shouldn't play armchair GM because the GM knows more than the casual fan. But when the casual fan knows what you missed out on, maybe you should listen to some of us, the voices that matter, the diehards, the actual fans that go to these games because they want to watch the Yankees, not because it's the place to be, like it's the friggin' Garden, okay? I'm just calling it what it is. If you think that half these fans that go to the new Yankee Stadium are real fans, they're more worried about taking selfies and doing little TikToks than they are what's actually going on the field. At least when I go, I'm worried about what's going on the field. That's just me. That's just me. But where the Yankees go from here, though, I can't tell you yet because I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not like Miss Cleo. Go to me now for your free tarot reading. I don't know what the Yankees are going to do. I know what they need to do, but are they going to do it is a different story. Is Cashman, if Cashman stays and all that, that's not even on the table for discussion of firing Brian Cashman. That should be the first thing at the fucking table. Okay? Before you even put the meal down, that should be the first thought is Cashman, you're gone. We're bringing this guy in. Boone, pack your bags, you're gone. We're bringing this guy in. And then what are we going to do to fix this team? What are we going to do to get back to yesteryear and winning and all this other nonsense? What are we going to do about it? I'm here to listen to you. Whatever you want to do, here's the fucking checkbook. I signed 20-something checks. Doesn't matter what it's going to cost. Just do it. People have sat there and they say Hal needs to run this team like his father did. I've even said it. But the thing is, George was George and Hal is Hal. That's the difference. George was willing to spend to win. Hal is willing to spend for mediocrity. That's where the two are different. And those that defend Cashman that sit there and say, Cashman built the Yankee dynasty. No, he didn't. He fucking did not. Okay? Because that was Buck Showalter's team. Okay? With Gene Stick Michael before they got ousted and Joe Torre got brought in and Cashman came in with him. They inherited what they built. Okay? So for those who don't know, you now know. Cashman did not build the dynasty. He added to it. Can't take that away. He added to it. He added pieces to it. Yes, he did. But he didn't create it. He didn't create the core four. No, he didn't. And if you think he did, you're wrong. Plain and simple. But with that being said, this will be the first of many videos on Rumble. I still really don't know how to use it yet, so I'm still working out through all that nonsense. But make sure you check out all the Fan in the Van audio on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, Podbean, all those. I also have another show out with a buddy of mine, Garrett, from Two Dudes with Sports News, as well as his own solo project, Is This a Bad Take? So make sure you check those out as well. But yeah, the state of the Yankees is not a good one, and that's what I leave you with. So till the next video, hopefully you guys enjoy this one, and if you do, follow me. I do follow back, obviously. I don't unfollow, so once you follow me and I follow you, I don't unfollow, I don't unsubscribe, whatever it is on here. I know YouTube, it's a whole different ballgame. So, with that being said, till the next one, stay safe. Smoke them if you